Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host, Gersh1, and you were watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we continue talking about the Imperium as we get into the Adeptus Mechanicus. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K content every 12 hours. And of course, if you have any suggestions, just comment down below. Don't forget to share these videos with your friends if you found it interesting. With that said, let's get into 40 Facts on the Adeptus Mechanicus. Much of mankind's mastery over technology has been forgotten, and what remains are closely guarded secrets held in jealous hands of the Adeptus Mechanicus. Wrapped up in superstitious beliefs and rites, the knowledge of how to operate the Imperium's most advanced devices falls to these followers of the machine god. The Adeptus Mechanicus guards and oversees the ancient knowledge and the mysteries of making technology function, for even its dogmatic and superstitious understandings are far beyond those of anyone else in the Imperium. They embrace technology to such a degree that they try to transcend the flesh of their bodies with a purity of metal. To those outside the Mechanicum, they appear unfeeling and emotionless, more akin to their blessed machines than to other humans, and most would welcome such views. From the red planet of Mars, they maintain a parallel empire that venerates the Emperor in his guise of the Omnissiah. Their beliefs grant technology a mystical power, and must be respected and maintained with prayer, ritual, and careful rites. In their worship of the machine god, the tech priests try to become more like their divine master. Their elders are more machine than man, with even the majority of their brains replaced by cult logic circuits and wiring cognitators. This is the ultimate ambition of any true devotee of the machine cult, to rise through the ranks of the tech priesthood to become a magos of the order, complete with metal skin and an iron heart. The Mechanicum is also the keeper of the greatest weapons known to mankind. Foremost among these are the war engines of the Adeptus Titanicus, the Titan Legions, towering humanoid battle engines standing as tall as a hablock and carrying weapons capable of leveling entire hives. Titans are only deployed against the direst of foes. Each is an ancient and sacred piece of technology, venerated as a walking expression of the Omnissiah's might. The Mechanicum also controls other deadly weaponry, including virus bombs and vortex torpedoes that could only be fabricated and deployed with its help. To this end, tech priests can be found in all Imperial organizations. Even the otherwise proudly self-sufficient Adeptus Astartes send battle brothers to Mars for training in the secret ways of the machine. These tech priests then return to their chapter and use their knowledge to maintain its arsenals. There is little if any invocation or progress within the Imperium. The principles of power systems, weapons, and void ships are all based on designs and patterns, often thousands of years old. This is in part because of the dangers such rampant technological advancement has brought down upon mankind in the past, when legends tell of thinking machines and terrible plant-killing weapons that brought havoc upon the galaxy. It is also because of the Adeptus Mechanicus itself. Every major Imperial organization is oath-bound to the cult Mechanicus, which closely guards the secrets of technology. Even the most powerful of rulers must defer to the Mechanicum in matters of technology. Tech priests rule over worlds, have their own fleets, and even raise their own military force to protect their manufactorums and research outposts. Those who serve the machine cult are often obsessed with technology, seeing the divine glory of the Omnissiah in every circuit and rivet, and treating the operations and care of such devices as a sacred duty. Their very appearance sets them apart, even in the Imperium, where cybernetics are not uncommon. Their heavily augmented bodies are nearly inhuman. Many even choose to strip away healthy flesh and replace it with bionics, to the point where they no longer see themselves as human, but rather as something that has transcended mortal bonds. Their mental processes are also augmented with emotional responses, edited or removed altogether, and leaving many incapable of normal human interactions. The result is often contempt for the bulk of mankind, seen as a wasteful byproduct of evolution and an inefficient component in the divine precision of the machine god. For the most part, the rest of the Imperium is content to allow the Mechanicum its mastery over their technology, raised to accept that the secrets of the machine are for it and it alone, though this does breed an aura of distrust. From the depths of the Imperium's greatest cities to the engine rooms of its grand interstellar navy, it is the duty of the Adeptus Mechanicus to preserve and maintain the great technological works of man, Once a tech priest has been trained and taken his oath to the Omnissiah, he is dispatched to tend to some part of these great works, spending his years intoning the sacred prayers and rituals that keep the machine spirit alive and functioning. Some move beyond these simple processes of maintenance, rising in the ranks of the order to take on more responsibility or expertise. Others aid war efforts directly as engine seers for the Imperial Guard. They may rule one of the many forge worlds, vital to feeding the Imperium's insatiable appetite for war machines and other material. They could also serve as part of the Explorator fleet in the holy quest for legendary standard template constructs dating back to the pre-Imperial Dark Age of technology. Equally, they might engage in xeno research on the foes of the Imperium, such as the voracious Tyranids or the brutal Orcs. A few might command their own outposts and stations, becoming lords of their own dominion and devoting their long lives to the personal pursuit of technological mastery. Others, such as forge laborers or adept minions, have lesser functions. Most aspire to one day join the tech priesthood so that they may better serve the Omnissiah. Rarely, some might reject the machine god and seek lives elsewhere, but still retain more skills and familiarity with the technology than almost anyone else in the Imperium. Many within the cult Mechanicus aspire to become as close to the machine god as possible, slowly enhancing their bodies with mechanical components until they are more metal than flesh. This can make them devoid of emotion as they embrace the cold logic of the machine god they serve, and sometimes put them at odds with others around them. Just as it relies on psychers, the Imperium could not function without the presence of the Adeptus Mechanicus, and whether its citizens favor a servant of the Omnissiah or merely tolerate him, they could not survive without their knowledge and skills. And those were 40 facts on the individual of the Adeptus Mechanicus. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It touched on a couple things. One thing that I want to highlight that it didn't really get into too much, but it's something that I'm going to talk about later in other videos, is that the Adeptus Mechanicus holds a lot of servants. So a lot of people helping out individuals who are already in the priesthood, who are basically slaves. And these are not the Skitarii, because the Skitarii are just lobotomized slaves, basically. They're servitors, but not really. They're rewired to do what they're told, so they're distinct from servitors. But what I wanted to touch on is the fact that there are individuals who hold their personalities, hold their identities. They are just working with the Adeptus Mechanicus and working with tech priests in order to someday fulfill the role of a tech priest or have their families get pushed towards the Adeptus Mechanicus priesthood, which is something it makes sense that it's there, and it's something that I want to explore, but it sucks. It sucks for most of those individuals who are slaves, and they continue to respect their tech priests because they don't have any other choice. And they hope that one day their children can be taught by the tech priest, and then, later on they will fulfill the role of a tech priest. The other thing I wanted to touch on was the fact that when a tech priest, leaves the training that he is doing, he goes straight into his job for the rest of his life. So they explained it as it might be like a huge engine inside of an interstellar Navy ship or something. But when the Adeptus Mechanicus tech priest gets assigned to that ship, that person is there for life. Same thing with the hives. They're basically janitors. So think of it, in our sense, right out of high school, if you go straight into working not only one specific location, so let's say you start working at a specific factory, but you start working on a specific machine. For the majority of the tech priests, of course, the lore does state that some tech priests try to master over their machine, or knowledge of their machine, so they might progress a little bit in terms of understanding how the machine works, which they would interpret as the machine spirit of that machine, but in reality it's just I'm figuring out how the engine works or whatever. So they do specialize in that way, but it's crazy to think that straight out of their training they are tied to this machine forever. So in a way, a tech priest is enslaved to that machine. And I've also seen the suggestion of doing a 40 facts in the machine spirit. I'm definitely going to do that. I'm just trying to figure out whether I want to do a 40 facts video explaining what the machine spirit is, like an overview, what the Imperium believes that it is, or should I do a 40 facts explaining on like what I think the actual machine spirit is, because there's a lot of debate of the Adeptus Mechanicus believes that the machine spirit exists, therefore it's manifesting itself within the warp, but I don't really think that that's what's happening. I really think that the machine, or the machine spirit is just a way to mask the fact that the Imperium doesn't know what technology is and how technology operates. So I'm kind of debating on which one to do first. I feel like I want to do both, but I want to learn more about the different rites and rituals that are performed in order to understand fully exactly to what extent the Imperium believes, or the Adeptus Mechanicus believes, that the machine spirit is a thing. Because the machine spirit could just also be something that the Adeptus Mechanicus are making up to make it seem difficult to understand technology. So whenever you have like someone who doesn't want to share some information with you, they usually tend to like convolute their explanation and make it just seem like something that you couldn't do, whether it's a specific job or whether it's a specific task. But in reality, when you break it down, it's like, oh, I can do that once it's said simple enough. So if the Adeptus Mechanicus says like, well, you can't really operate this walker, because operating this walker means that you have to pray a certain way to the machine cult, and you have to say the correct things, and your mind has to be connected to the machine spirit. It pushes regular Imperial citizens away from trying to understand the machine, because remember, the Adeptus Mechanicus wants to hoard all the knowledge. So if I'm just a regular Imperial citizen, I work with this machine, there's really nothing that would stop me from like tinkering and trying to figure out how it works. The Adeptus Mechanicus doesn't want that, so instead what they tell their people is, no, it's not just a piece of machine, it's something that you have to pray to, it's something that's alive. But I'll dive into all of that kind of stuff in those machine spirit videos. If you guys have any feedback on what you guys believe the machine spirit is, please comment down below. And yeah, if you guys have any other suggestions for other topics of Warhammer 40K, don't forget to comment down below. We read the comments every single day, so we base our videos off of your suggestions, and we are reading them. The horrible realities of an assassin, Imperial assassin, is coming soon, don't worry. And yeah, thanks for everything. If you enjoy our videos, don't forget to support us on Patreon. It's a simple $1 a month. It helps us create more videos. If you can't, we understand. Simply by liking, commenting, and sharing, it helps out the channel. With that said, guys, I'll talk to you tomorrow. This was Gersh1 with One Mind Syndicate signing out.
Always used to put my freedom first in any situation.